As I jump off my mind's cliff into subconscious depths, knowing my higher and knowing my lower self, falling past my thoughts that got me in trouble, realizing ego is a burstable bubble, falling backwards seems like there's no end or bottom, cut out the good, I see no thoughts rotten, no modern European's mentality, all Asiatic, the scent of this fall, aromatic, tea tree oil and frankincense so intense, demons beating from outside make no indents, plus no entrance without the mastermind key. Thoughts of Allah wasn't a lie, but actually me, divine being, a national, actual, factual, more scientist, seeing things mathematical. Law is length, angle, and width. With mind strength, mangle a sith. When devil's was burning, sulfur a whiff. Lower self, third eyes crushed, that's the weed in my split. From these lows, the only way to uplift. 40 days and 40 nights working the graveyard shift. Battling zombies, which are my own that exist. Playing my emotions and string strum or Congo drums. Seeing things and hearing sounds, no fear around. Looking down, not seeing the ground, but feeling my crown. Pulsating so profound, soul unbound. Inhale for 7, hold for 4. Exhale for 7, hold for 4. Double door 11, walk through the gateway frame of eternal flames. No burns, no regard, unreal as unreal, no blame. My pure freedom and bliss, demigods trying to contain. On my journey of learning fear, embracing pain. Since love heals on the path of living cognizance, patience is a virtue. I'd rather take the long distance. Aware mental clearness, mind's tailless with fierceness. Harlot seduced to get me locks and beardless. Electromagnetic helix, induce the voltage. Begging ancestors to increase the dosage, produce a strong field, rubbing together shaman stone balls, releasing the stress, calling Orishas, decreasing my breath. But are you really breathing? Knowing or believing? I master fruition and receiving from birthright retrieving. Are you in trance without doing a ritual dance? Paralysis, magic reversal on the square stance. Harmonic lyrical mudra from Islam Sutra. Elevate thoughts, wake up your inner Sibyls and Buddhas. Master your will, not desires. Awaken Kundalini fires. Truth spoken to MCs higher. Medusa, you liars. Bagging heads and horns and tails for mystic functions. Ritualistic. Perched at the junction where demons go to and fro, dressed as the sheeple, selling them rights, civil and pseudo rights equal. Blood flowing past a horse brow, didn't circle your passion. Celestial thread of my ancestors, tailored my fashions, fooling people with their words and people not watching their actions. Ignorance of law is no excuse when something happens. Feeling eyes and reading postures, moving bionic. Monsanto seeds turn you psychopharmaceutical chronic. Got their eyes bloody, blood muddy for blood money. They gave me nothing, so can take nothing from me. I love the quote, you will respect but don't have to love me. They gave me nothing, so can't take nothing from me.
Young offender on the grid. I've been doing a bit since a little kid. Then it was the adult side. I lose my respect if I let it slide. Then it slid. I kept my flow hid, and the words don't skin. With respect to the house, here's a piece on me. If you wanna leave calmly, while they're busy smoking, I'm easy roping with the hot blonde wide open. The jaws wasn't joking. Pop your lids unless you really wanna live. Stop the fibs with one less ribs. Engineering anonymous. Is it preposterous? They could doctor us. Is it ancient chemist or is it just genetic? All I get is aesthetic. 2 million years of history, just forget it. If you let it, don't you dare ruin your credit as I stare at your social club pinky swear. A supreme being intervened. It was something green. I didn't know how to adjust the screen. Second look, it was just as clean. Dust a fiend with some muscle cream. Let her know this is not a dream. My flow is the stream to the most pristine. You never seen this like these.
The rhyme pattern and design so intricate. You'll never see the sign, so here's a kick. But don't F around with mine or the syndicate. You straight stay in line or the stinker get. Like you on a landmine in the thinking pit.
Young offender on the grid. I've been doing a bit since a little kid. Then it was the adult side. I lose my respect if I let it slide. Then it slid. I kept my flow hid, and the words don't skin. With respect to the house, here's a piece on me. If you wanna leave calmly, while they're busy smoking, I'm easy roping with the hot blonde wide open. The jaws wasn't joking. Pop your lids unless you really wanna live. Stop the fibs with one less ribs. Engineering anonymous. Is it preposterous? They could doctor us. Is it ancient chemist or is it just genetic? All I get is aesthetic. 2 million years of history, just forget it. If you let it, don't you dare ruin your credit as I stare at your social club pinky swear. A supreme being intervened. It was something green. I didn't know how to adjust the screen. Second look, it was just as clean. Dust a fiend with some muscle cream. Let her know this is not a dream. My flow is the stream to the most pristine. You never seen this like these.
The rhyme pattern and design so intricate. You'll never see the sign, so here's a kick. But don't F around with mine or the syndicate. You straight stay in line or the stinker get. Like you on a landmine in the thinking pit. It's not just your music, only stink like shit. We see right through you phony, you counterfeit. Pass a piece of Fronto, wanna roll a split. Where I'm from is Toronto, all we know is flip. Firm grip on the grip, gotta hold his hip. All they know is download and loading clips. I just rep the G code, we ain't new to this. Don't let me get in beast mode, metamorphosis. Yo, we got the street soul, no forcefulness. And all the ether zone call me Morpheus. Find our way home, more free us. No scissors and comb, nagas niggas. Blood and bone, muscle tissue, form fetus. And we never on our own, Allah feeds us.
I keep it roping, I'm eloping. Well spoken, here's a token. Genuine, no joking. And if I pause, my mind is in motion. Who's up next for the smoking while I'm bearing arms of steady toting? A brain load of weaponry, ready to expose it. The stories of all life, I got the man secure the hostess. Many wanna boast it. If run came me, then revoke it. You better off dead. The majority is voted. I post playing, giving you a dosage. The punchline is potent, knocking niggas out like a close fist. Coming from the rats and the roaches. Many want to say they the one who came the closest to royalty and fame, and as the president approaches, acknowledge what my name is and claim an island off the coast. Yes, my chronology is most best. Floating like a lotus, I'm heavy in the streets. Take notice, I've arrived. There's a chance for me to blow this.
We got rituals for damn near anything you want to do, and we can give them to you tonight.
Chris V. Still get it from the intellect reservoir. Cosmic surfing, these two sons of God didn't come from virgins. Ether makes up these gods. We rode light angles to the earth plane. Again trapped in skin, but a different name. Monads, been here since Ruth and Moabs. Thought you killed me when Drew and Marcus got toe tagged. That's why I'm here with the Grand Chairman of Fear. Truth make you think critical like Sabir. Doing the God things, I make ancients appear, and all I'm hearing is knocking while I'm watching a seer. Ancient rituals and sound healing notes through Pro Tools. Eye to eye transfers knowledge, you need no schools. Waking up the masses, music is class and stage. Most fail cause they look like they're flying shades. Following demons possess Kanye's and Lil Wayne's. Expecting a hippie with a cross and a Greek name. Inner melanin calls me D&B, the link up with no cheese. Orishas in me, I'm not what you don't see. I'm not one of those armchair revolutionaries. Allah's in me, sick and tired of being sick and tired, but that's just where we get our strength, man. The Christ is in me. I'm not a hustler, pimp, gangster, wankster, but trust me, they all in me.
I got it when the moon shifted the tomb in the melanated womb, sipping milk in the honeydew and triple black boom. Touchdown, traveling on planet Earth where we crush clowns, while I'm managing this curse and preparing the elixir that turns copycats into kitty litter. These poor pussies pretending to be misters. I cannot sin, but I can be very sinister. My limitations are limited as I do a lap around the galaxy. Had to gather light and rally back and fuck the fallacy.
Anything you want to do, and we can give them to you tonight.
Chris V. Still get it from the intellect reservoir, cosmic surfing. These two sons of God didn't come from virgins. Ether makes up these gods. We rode light angles to the earth plane. Again trapped in skin, but a different name. Monads, been here since Ruth and Moabs. Thought you killed me when Drew and Marcus got toe tagged. That's why I'm here with the Grand Chairman of Fear. Truth make you think critical like severe. Doing the God things, I make ancients appear, and all I'm hearing is knocking while I'm watching a seer. Ancient rituals and sound healing notes through Pro Tools. Eye to eye transfers knowledge, you need no schools. Waking up the masses, music is class and stage. Most fail cause they look like they're flying shades. Following demons possess Kanye's and Lil Wayne's. Expecting a hippie with a cross and a Greek name. Inner melanin calls me D&B, the link up with no cheese. Orishas in me, I'm not what you don't see. I'm not one of those armchair revolutionaries. Allah's in me, sick and tired of being sick and tired, but that's just where we get our strength, man. The Christ is in me. I'm not a hustler, pimp, gangster, wankster, but trust me, they all in me.
I got it when the moon shifted the tomb in the melanated womb, sipping milk in the honeydew and triple black boom. Touchdown, traveling on planet Earth where we crush clowns, while I'm managing this curse and preparing the elixir that turns copycats into kitty litter. These poor pussies pretending to be misters. I cannot sin, but I can be very sinister. My limitations are limited as I do a lap around the galaxy. Had to gather light and rally back and fuck the fallacy. And cause of that, I got labeled the antagonist, and it didn't help that I cuss and bun cannabis and bun candles and wear symbols of Orishas. And I put a hex on the heads of 7 preachers with 1 trailer spit aimed at the pulpit. Crushed a crucifix, a whole tabernacle backflip. I'm not Catholic, but if I choose my bare resonance, you may just catch a glimpse of Lucifer's semblance. Up and down Jacob's ladder with my melanin, the vessel of no fear none. You can find the devil in.
God's in me, I say that so serious. Turn a nigga to a god, show you I'm serious. Got him proclaiming, name changing and facing with no guilt or fear. All these clansmen masons, we stand on squares, circumscribe our own circumference. Goddess Lakshmi bless me with abundance of prosperity. I speak with clarity, not to confuse. Put Moorish in front everything from Christian to Jews. I'm the anchor, so I don't listen to news on some snail type vibrations making me snooze. Calling a Parker to call down our UFO crews. Like Yahweh or Dogan shamans, we call on Ra Amen. For sun ritual, spiritual, I'm physically trapped. Rewind, play back, and get your pineal tapped. Like Gregory Hines, when I'm spitting the rhymes. A&Rs want me to blow, but all rights reserved when we sign. Inner melanin calls me D&B, the link up with no cheese. Orishas in me, I'm not what you don't see. I'm not one of those armchair revolutionaries. Allah's in me, sick and tired of being sick and tired, but that's just where we get our strength, man. The Christ is in me. I'm not a hustler, pimp, gangster, wankster, but trust me, they all in me.
Alright, so let's pour the libations on the Kumu, Olensu, Shumala, Okija, Chiaja, Cheoa, Alcala, Locayo, Capamo, La Lila. I need some halala shades. Issa, Manu, Noku, Mana, Imatu, Tuki, Juba, Doba, Agati, Casimbo, Nizala, Isala, Abilu, Pazuzu, Zuba, Nubaret, Alonia, Ida, Ayo, Emily, Ragman, Notorio, Monu, Netu, Nizu, Yahalo.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gate Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes it a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me up right, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Sorbet, repping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no but I lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snake's still showing up, stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death dip in slavery. Looking for light, the book of Genesis. Astro plane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life, finishing.
Morris Omar, key man or oracle. Using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical. Lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic. Facts slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali quick.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gate Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes it a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me up right, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Sorbet, repping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no but I lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snake's still showing up, stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death dip in slavery. Looking for light, the book of Genesis. Astro plane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life, finishing.
Morris Omar, key man or oracle. Using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical. Lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic. Facts slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali critic. Calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved. Or cut like a close shave. Drowned in my brainwaves, squashed by heat waves. Activating Kundalini. Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini. Selassie I in exile. Reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real. All I see is false evidence. DA are feminists, stomped on by elephants. More like we're prejudiced but want Moorish benefits. When you feel the cold magnetic resonance. Apis horns of the sacred book all maleficent. Great cosmic mothers, return to blessedness. No pestilence, ace all the testaments. Tap into remembrance, never to forget again. Use energy right, not put spell effects on men. Wandering the earth plane with no they live shades. Keeps you a mental slave as the horizon fades. It's been decades since Christian crusades. Not enough rebellions, too many vigil bouquets. Holding on to the fence, burning on doomsday. War ruled by Mars, it might be on a Tuesday.
Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try?
the age of AI. We're going to have self-driving cars and trucks in 5 to 10 years. 30% of malls are going to close in the next 4 years, thanks to Amazon. 2.5 million call center workers in the U.S. are going to get replaced by AI. There was a study in The Guardian that said the median African-American household net worth is going to be zero by 2053, like in 34 years. You guys see that study?
No.
Well, yeah, you should look it up. And so why are they forecasting that African-American net worth is going to go to zero? It's because of this economic tidal wave that is coming. This economic tidal wave is going to wipe out many working class jobs. And it's going to be the equivalent of a natural disaster. And we know what happens in a natural disaster. Who suffers? Poor people who don't have the resources, people of color, and the same thing's going to happen in this. So that's why I'm running for president. Is I can see that this economic tidal wave is going to wipe out many working class jobs, and it's going to be the equivalent of a natural disaster. And we know we're entering the age of AI.
And you know what happens in a natural disaster? Who suffers? The poor, people of color, and African Americans. And the black guys are concerned about capitalized being black and all that BS. That's what they're concerned about. These people's children are murdering each other in the streets because, that wasn't our generation. Our generation, you got head back slaps and all that. Our generation, you might have got buckle. You might have got, whatever was on the table. You weren't playing around. And the end of it, after you do all your BS, or after you do all your little dumb nigger stuff, in the end of it, you realize, damn, that was some BS. If I had the mindset I had now when I was then, oh my God, I want to. All right? So we already know what's up. Peace and love to all the Moors out there who already know what's up. They already know what's up. This is nothing. It's not concerning Moors. This is all you idiots out there who don't know about your nationality and birthrights because you've been listening to dumb people telling you about it ain't about where the Moors are at. Telling you about something else. You think these people are playing with you? You keep thinking these people are playing with you. Remember who suffers in the natural disaster. This is a natural disaster going on right now. This is a pandemic all over the world and all that, right? Right? So this is happening everywhere. People are in Quebec, people who refuse to be vaccinated for COVID will face a financial penalty. What do you mean? What do you mean that if you don't get the shot, they're fining you? This is where they're going with it. You better know about your nationality because these people aren't playing with all you stateless people. Keep thinking they're playing. Moors already know you're going to write their writs when these people start talking crazy. Whatever. You have to come get me. Not walking into anywhere to get anything. No. If you're that hype, you have to hold me down and give it to me. If you're really serious. Right? It's crazy right now. But it's only crazy for the people who don't know what's up. So for the two people out there, right? Oh no, Quebec's a European corporation because Quebec, that's France. What's France doing in North America? There ain't no France over here. They're foreigners. But they have their sovereign jurisdiction. You ain't telling them anything. They can't do whatever. Because that's their own jurisdiction. Their colonial Let's just look up colonists in the dictionary so we know what's going on here. Colonist. 1701. Colonizer. Member of a colonizing expedition. Meaning inhabitant of a colony. Right? What's a colony? Late 14th century. Ancient Roman settlement outside of Italy. Settled land. Farm. Landed estate. From colonus. Husbandman. Tenant. Farmer. Settler in new land. To cultivate, to till, to inhabit, to frequent, practice, respect, tend, guard. Revolve, move around, sojourn, dwell. In reference to modern situations, company or body of people who migrate from their native country to cultivate and inhabit a new place while remaining subject to the mother country. Attested from 1540s, meaning a country or district colonized. So, those people who are claiming Quebec and all that stuff, that's a colony of the French guys who lost the war. So because they lost, they said, okay, we're taking this, because we're not going back over there. We're not going back to France. And then you have, go check their date when they started, go check their date when Ontario started and all that. And you realize that all these people are colonists. They're not, that's what it is. Problem is, you're not taking that serious. You think that that's some joke. So these colonists that carved out their little jurisdiction or whatever like that, you know what I mean? You got to speak French there and all that. That's their first language and whatever. How come they didn't tell you about Matthew da Costa, who's the Ladino Moor, who was over here before these Europeans? And when he came here, there was people already here, chilling. So, colonizing also includes getting rid of the people who are actually there. And how to get rid of the people there, they start calling them Negro, black, colored, slaves and all that, instead of who they are, Moors. So then now, they have their jurisdiction where they're telling them, we're going to find you. Right? And then all the other jurisdictions around them, they're sitting back like, I don't know, that's kind of, you know, we might not implement that here, but, you know, yeah. Nobody has no comment? How come they have no comment? Because then you're going to have to bring up, okay, well, who's the other colonists? If those colonists are saying that, then who's the rest of you people? Because that's only right there. And then when you go check that out, you realize that, oh yeah, Upper Canada and Lower Canada and all that. And these individuals were colonizing indigenous land. And then if you go around today, no matter where you go in the Americas, specifically North America, all the place names are indigenous names. Unless it's a colonial name that would be somewhere from over there with new in front of it. New whatever. And then that's how everybody did it. The Punjabis came and then New Punjab. And then they bought certain jurisdictions, carved out their stuff, only their people live there and nobody else can't go there. And if you try to go there, they'll make sure that you feel so uncomfortable that you'll leave. That's their jurisdiction. And then our people, who are the Moors, who this is our estate, and all those people who are coming here should be paying us taxes if they're colonizing. So whatever they get, they're supposed to give us a cut of what they get because they're in our land. That's just how it's supposed to work. That's not just making up stuff. If you're in somebody else's stuff, shouldn't you be renting that? That's not yours. Why you Oh, but they can't do that because the Moors want to be Negro, black, colored people and want to take handouts from these people. They want to be minorities instead of being who their ancient foremothers and forefathers were, without doubt or contradiction. So don't think that when they're not making any comment about these people, they're taxing people if they don't get the shot. Now what? You know, as more you just put down, you know, we're tax exempt. We're Aboriginal Indigenous. You ain't taxing the Indigenous people. What are you taxing us for? Oh yeah, but they can't do that because they want to be Negro, black, colored. So you're going to be taxed. It's on the way. Just so you know out there, it's on the way. That you're going to be taxed if you don't take the vax. Because remember, they're already talking about this stuff's going till about 235 or something. This is going to go for a little while. They're talking about the next 5 boosters people are going to have to get. 5. They're looking at 5 boosters ahead they're looking at. And then COVID's done, they wipe that out the way, and then now it's all these variants now. And then you're just switching every 6 months. And you're sick with something new. Then 6 months again, you're sick with something new again. Then 6 months again, you're sick with it. And then the whole time it's just a common cold or whatever. And they're playing people. Now taxing them if they don't get the shot. You can't work if you don't get it or whatever. And people aren't losing their mind. No, but they're too coward to do something to the bully. They want to go over and bother other people, disrupt other people's lives with their madness. Right? Because remember, all these colonists, while they cultivate and inhabit these new places, they will remain subject to the mother country. And if they have a mother country and it's not here, then we have everything already here. Problem is people are using our stuff. And then we're not getting paid for them using our stuff. Because we want to be Negro, black, colored African people. Instead of being the heirs to the vast estate, the Moroccan Empire. And then the 5 Moors who are standing on their birthrights or whatever like that, they're still getting violated by these people. But I guarantee you they got let out the back door and all that. I guarantee you the lights and the arrest and all that stuff was just for you to think that something negative happened. Well, now there's a record that somebody said that they're not black. That's an issue. Because that's called denationalization, and that's an international war crime. That's not some white man called you nigger violation. If somebody has a national name and someone tells them you can't be your national name, you have to be whatever we say you are because we're colonists and this is our land now, that's an international war crime. Our people don't read, so they don't know that that's an international war crime. And they also don't know that you can't make any type of argument without tying yourself to the Moors. So these people know that you're not their property. Because remember, the Negro, the black, the color, and whatever, that was the first property. Forget house and car and cows and all that stuff. Everybody already knew that was property. When that wasn't enough and they needed more, you were it. I'm going to give you a reference point. There's a European by the name of Richard Smith. A modern European. He had a book called The Moor, the Mason, and the Alien. Now he's a European. He's telling you about Moors, Masons, and aliens. The Negro leaders are telling you about some 10 black, first black, whatever, for the past 500 years. That's all. That's all they're telling you about your history. How come this European could do research and have a chapter in his book, Chapter 8, The Moorish Legacy Begins? How? How is this? Where are you getting this information from? That he knows that much. He knows that the Moorish have a legacy. And that legacy is not just some stuff in Spain only. That stuff is even over here. Remember, it's a modern European. Now you call a white man. So, what is the Moorish legacy? Taking into account what I've already stated, the symbolic, spiritual, social, and historical significance lies in the understanding, the team players involved. Now, if you are looking for an excellent expansion on the grand scope of the cosmological, esoteric, and historical legacy of the Moors, I strongly suggest you read the biography of Noble Drew Ali, The Pyramids of Montauk, and the Montauk Book of the Dead by Peter Moon, as well as the Martian Codex, More Reflections from Mars by George Haas and William Saunders. The Moors, the Moorish legacy. A spiritual identity. First and foremost, the Moorish legacy is this planet's lamp of illumination, which is the premier definition of extraterrestrial intervention via the Temple of Solomon. As such, the Moorish legacy represents the royal interior of the throne of power and the entire solar system, aka the kingdom, the royal estate. The Moorish people carry the genetic code that represents the legacy of the Ankhels, the angels, and are therefore the guardians of the Adam's covenant, a genetic and spiritual metamorphosis that transformed into the passion of the Christ. However, it should be understood that when we use terms like Moors, Moorish people, Moorish legacy, or references to the Asiatic nations, we are also referring to what is best understood as the true human being, the people of quote-unquote color and hue known as the sun-kissed people of Earth. Once again, it's in the name. Human, hue, chroma, color, the hued man. On top of that, the term hue has an ancient one used for thousands of years by various cultures as means of elevating one's consciousness and awakening the seven seals. The word chroma refers to intensity of the color. This equates to something mentioned earlier, tweaking the dial and tuning in to a certain radio station. The power of creation is based on this. This is why the bloodline of the prophets and the Star of the David have such a close connection to the sun-kissed people of Earth. Hue, chroma, melanin, frequency, elevation of mind, psychic awareness, metaphysical powers, illuminated prophet. It's interesting to note that George Lucas hit upon this in the Star Wars mythos with the term mitochondrians. something that equates to the frequency and intensity of metaphysical capabilities in Jedi Knights, a symbolic reference to the Moorish legacy as guardians of the covenant. Remember, this is a modern European. The Moors, also known as Mayos, the cat people, and the master mariners. The Moors represent the family of man, as well as its spiritual and cosmological legacy. The phrase family of man is a direct reference to the people of color and hue, and therefore the sun-kissed people of Earth. This falls right in line with the extraterrestrial investment in flesh and bone and the legions of light, both of which were outlined earlier. The term and designation of Moor is a multifaceted origin with lots of rich meaning in linguistics and etymology. The Moors are the master mariners of the sea, henceforth the term maritime law. It's in the word itself. Moor equals mar, maritime law. Master, mariner, M-A-R, as in of the world. And it's no surprise to find out that the word Moor is a cosmological variation of the word Mars, as in the planet Mars. So, the term Mars of the sea carries a layered meaning referring to the cosmic sea of time and space and its relationship to the oceans of life on Earth, the polar caps of Mars, and the frozen sea of Europa, to name a few. Now, if he's coming with all that, from Moors, just doing his research, and he's coming up with all that, it's undeniable. And keep in mind, he's talking to the sun-kissed people who they want to play that they're Negro black color and don't want to connect to the Moorish paradigm. The black guy, the Mason, and the alien. Not the African American, the Mason, and the alien, like you would see all these other scholars do. The black man and all that. He wasn't playing any of that BS. Call the people who they are by their free name. That is known. Throughout the world, it's known. Throughout the world, it's known. Right. Brother J. Blakely Bay told the Moors that the Holy Prophet told the Moors, people are going to be dying like hogs with cholera, and the doctors won't know what's wrong with them. The only thing that is going to save them is my remedies. My remedies would cure you of anything you weren't born with. And what they do? Get the Moorish manufacturing company out the way. Bury that so you don't have the herbal remedies that were presented to you from your prophet, who's a Moor, that they're never going to tell you about. And they'll do whatever it is that they're going to do, and they're never going to tell you about your prophet. But you have all these people who know. And they look just like you, and they're not telling you. But everybody else is telling you. And want you to know. The history of Islam in America. Figure 12. Sheikh Ahmed Din of St. Louis, Missouri, an early convert of the Ahmadiyya movement. In Islam, who introduced Wali Akram of the First Cleveland Mosque to Islam. You think the Ahmadiyya movement people didn't know that they're Moors? You look at them thinking that it's some Hindu thing. It ain't no Hindu thing that they were doing. You must have forgot that the main Punjabi temple is in Moorish architecture. Why is it in Moorish architecture? Why isn't it in Punjabi architecture? No, because Punjabs know that they're Moors too. And Mizra Ghulam and all these people who came over here talking about help the black guys and all that stuff. Black guys looking at them like, yeah, that makes sense. And transitioning. Paul Nathaniel Johnson said, F that, I'm Sheikh Ahmed Din. Right? This Ahmadiyya movement, 1920s. Doing the same thing that Moors are telling people to do today. Get rid of that slave name because that's not you. And get yourself on the side of nation. You could look at the Punjabis like missionaries. And they were here to tell these dumb Negroes that, you know, you could be part of something that actually has to do with you. You know, you don't have to be following the white man. But none of those people were from here. So they couldn't completely relate to the people. Guess who was from here? Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali. Not tied with any foreigners. Families been in this land, didn't come over here on any slave ships or nothing like that. If everybody knows Garvey's families are Maroons, what are you talking about slave ships? Maroons are indigenous people. What come from where? What slave? What are you talking about? Since when dark-skinned people are slaves to Europeans in the 1600s when they couldn't even put a boat in the water? Because they were enslaved to the Moors. Who in slavery? How are they putting somebody in slavery and they're in slavery? That makes sense to you? And to get out of slavery, everybody was down with, you're either going to be part of Moorish Zionist Temple and the Moorish Jews, you're either going to be part of Ahmadiyya movement, you're either going to be part of NAACP and all those sellouts over there, or you're going to be a slave. Those are your options. Oh yeah, and UNIA. 1920s. If you're really about getting yourself out of slavery, you are part of one of those. Because they were actually taking you out of slavery by having you get rid of the name, which is putting you in slavery. Which is why Richard Smith said the Moor in the book. He didn't say the African Americans. He didn't say the whatever the fiction name is. He actually called the free national name of the Aboriginal indigenous people of the world Moors. Because clearly he has the world on the book. It's not, he's talking about something off of the earth plane. He's talking about on this thing, there's some people here called Moors. And he wasn't playing the fiction game. Why? Because Moors taught him that we're not Negro black colored. So as modern European who's in land that's not theirs, obviously you're going to show allegiance to the landlord, the true landlord, not the colonial one. not the occupying landlord. The true heir to the estate, which are these people who go back to time immemorial. Because there was nobody else. Just us. Ain't nobody else on the planet. Who is it? Because we were fighting each other. Because we're a dumbass. We don't know what unity is. So it's not thinking whole, thinking half, thinking quarters. And again, the more is to make you whole. The more is to get you out of the dead status. The more is not some go claim a house and all that. That's not what the more is. The more is not drive without a license. That's not what this is. This stuff is way deeper than that shallow stuff you think it's about. Get off a ticket and all that. Didn't you hear what the European said? That this is spiritual, this is metaphysic, this is cosmological, this is not just surface. The first straw that was created was the Negro, colored, black, etc. Since we did not buck about that, they got better at effectuating their intent. They speak for us through these straw constructs as Negro, colored, black, etc. Anyone who accepts labels has only privileges. They do not have rights. Someone needs to speak for them. This is what an attorney is. He is an officer of the court who brings you to the court and leaves you there. Thus the court immediately has leave, jurisdiction over you. And when they say court, remember, a court is not a building. A court is a yard with an open space on top. That's a court. The court is not a building. So don't look at court as some building. Court is everywhere around you at all times. There's always offer and acceptance. Everywhere. Attorneys are bounty hunters with a suit and a tie on. The definition of the lawful term in propria persona is as follows. In propria persona, in one's own proper person, it was formerly a rule in pleading that pleas to the jurisdiction of the court must be pled in propria persona, because if pleaded by an attorney, they admit the jurisdiction, as an attorney is an officer of the court, and he is presumed to plead after having obtained leave, which admits the jurisdiction. Which admits the jurisdiction. Because if pleaded by an attorney, they admit the jurisdiction, as an attorney is an officer of the court, and he is presumed to plead after having obtained leave, which admits the jurisdiction. So with our people, they always have jurisdiction over them. Because our people are not in their own proper person. They're in something else. So the court always has the ability to assume jurisdiction over them. Because that pleas to the jurisdiction being pled in propria persona means that you're not a ward. So if you're not a ward, then they can't talk for you, and somebody else that you didn't hire can't talk for you. And you being in propria persona means that you're in full life. And being that you're in full life, now you can speak for yourself. Because the court doesn't have jurisdiction because they didn't obtain leave. Because they can't obtain leave because you're in your proper person. You're not Negro, black, color. You're not their ward. So filing an affidavit of proper persona with the court is necessary. What's the court? If you say the court is that building over there, then what's that building have to do with you? The only way that you're sending something to the court is if you have something going on in the court. So if you got a ticket and you're fighting it as a Moor, then you're going to be sending something for the court. Because if you're going to go into that so-called place called a court, they should expect you, because you're not going there as a nigger. You're going there in propria persona. So they should get something from you, expecting you. And what you send them should have something to do with a number that they're going to be calling at a certain time to do whatever. But that's not court. That's administrative. Court's not that building. Now, if you're talking about, you just found out about that you're a Moor and you want to put some paper to let somebody know that you're a Moor because you found out about this and you feel sure about it, so you want to, make a public declaration that you're a Moor, you wouldn't be sending that to any court. Court has nothing to do with you and that. Society has to do with you and that. So you might start walking with this paperwork instead of whatever else people say ID is. Like one of the Moors was talking about last week, how his thumbprint says ID. And everybody accepts it as that. Thumbprint is how I maneuver. You can take my thumbprint. I have no problem with you taking my thumbprint. And people accepting it. Go in the federal building, whatever. Right? So you have to realize that if your mindset is I want to be a Moor, so I'm going to go to the court and fill out a paper with the court, and then the court's going to give me a paper that's going to say I'm a Moor, so then I could go around saying that I'm a Moor. No, they just owned you again. Because they obtained leave because you went to them. What you should have did was went to the Moorish Science Temple. Or went to the Moorish, Great Seal. Or the Moorish, but you're not just going to do it on your own. You're going to have somebody who they've been doing this, and, you check them out, you fact check them, and if, their stuff is legit, then, you're not just diving in head first. You're going to vet before you say, and certain things you're going to look for. As soon as they say it costs you something to do it, there's a problem. Especially if they're saying $5,000 and for these papers, for you to be a Moor, to be the sovereign of the land and all that, because you bought some papers from a guy. That's worse than going to the court. You might as well have went to the court, people. Because what those people are doing is worse. Because they're selling you the right. And because you were dumb enough to buy it, when judgment comes around, it's not going to get those people, you're going to get it. Yeah, so if you're declared Moor, then court has nothing to do with you, unless you have something in there. And again, we're saying court very loose. I was saying court very loose. Because where you go to pay tickets, that's not a court. That's an administrative building. Right? Fine or time. That's all they're about. They don't care about anything else. They care about your emotions. They don't care about whatever. Fine or time. You're giving up something. Unless you're in proper persona. Then you're going to go in there, put whatever you got to put on the record, and that's that. They're supposed to dismiss as soon as you go in there, saying that you're something other than that name on the paper, which is a black man or a Negro or African, whatever, you know, that name that they're using to say that that's you. That's African, black, whatever. That's not you. That's a created thing. But because of so many of our people accepting the brands, just like we're saying, anyone who accepts the labels only has privileges. Right? They only have privileges. That's all you have. Right? And on the level of, you know, if you're going to park where there's a meter, then, you know what I mean? That's an assumed jurisdiction. Because he could have parked 2 blocks over where there are not meters and he could park all day for free. You know? And save the 500 stupid stuff that they put on your car because you parked somewhere that you're not supposed to end up. You know? It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be battling them all the time. You want to get that back. Oh, yeah, back up. No, you know what I mean? If you're not seeing them, they're not seeing you. That's what you want. You don't want to have to deal with them because they're a colonist. You want to have your rights so that they can't violate the privileges, because the privileges are something given that could be violated. The rights are yours. Nobody can't take those. And if they take your rights, that's an international war crime. And there's international people who deal with international war crimes. But if you're going to them as a black guy, like Ralph Bunch and all them people going as black guys, and they want some black benefits and whatever like that, people are going to look at you dumb. And say, yeah. Every time you go, yeah. Then you fall for it all, every time. So we're just here to wake you out to slumber, shake you, get the wheels turning again. Because they made us stagnant by thinking through these brands. by thinking through these constructs. You know what I mean? You know, pandemic and all that it's a construct. It's a social engineering experiment. It's not about shots and all that stuff. Probably water in there. They're not even giving people nothing. It's about who's our ward. It's a census. Who's our ward? Who's gonna come take the thing? Yeah, I am. Oh, got one. All right, 1, 2, 50 billion. All right, that's all right. That's a good amount of words to have to make sure we live a little more, you know. All right. Think about it think about it as Matrix. Matrix 4, the Trinity. Then Trinity fell asleep. And then remembering she was Trinity, remembering her birthrights, remembering who she was, is what woke her up out to sleep. I hate when you call me that name and all that. Right? Same thing Muhammad Ali did. You don't call me Cassius Clay. I'll beat your ass. Call me Cassius Clay again. See what happens. And what do? You beat his ass, calling him a Negro when his name is Ali. And that's Moorish, if you didn't know. Nobuju Ali, Muhammad Ali, yeah, same Ali, you know that, right? And you know Nobuju Ali was a Moor, so that means Ali, more than likely that's a Moor. If he's saying Ali. It's common sense? Or we're reaching? We're reaching? You really think we're reaching? Moors are reaching, really? You think so? Those guys over there are not reaching, but the Moors who show you facts and read from law books and all that stuff, we're reaching. Using the white man's dictionary, we're reaching. All right. Let us not get confused or allow anyone to confuse us with the difference of natural person and corporate person, or flesh and blood being in full life, of which we are that from the moment of birth, a spiritual being manifested in the flesh. Right? So that's what you are. You're a spiritual being manifested in the flesh. Upon manifesting on the flesh, you're a Moor. You don't need court to go be a Moor if you've been that from the flesh. As soon as you touch down here, you're a Moor. You're not Negro, black colored. You can't be that. You can't be a glass. I don't care how hard you try. I don't care if you capitalize the G, there's lowercase g, put a last name on G or whatever like that. It doesn't matter. You can't be a glass. You're a spiritual being manifested in the flesh. That means you can't be a corporate person. If you can't be a corporate person, then a corporate thing can't do anything to you. If you can't be a corporate person, if you can't be a glass, then people can't try to drink out of you. As soon as they try to drink out of you, you can stand up and say, hey, I'm not a glass. Yeah, but you're shiny and no. I can't be used like that. I'm a natural person. I'm a flesh and blood being. I'm not a ward. I'm not property. I'm not a brand name. In law, there are two types of persons. In law, there are two types of persons. The natural flesh and blood and the corporate person. The spiritual being manifested in flesh and the fiction. One who is in propria persona sets the stage for who has jurisdiction, if any, over the person. So they have to have jurisdiction over the person. They have to have that. They can't say, you are what we say you are. You are who you say you are. Because the superior claim is the one who's in propria persona. And saying you're a Moor is putting yourself in propria persona so they don't assume that you're the corporate person, which they're going to do. It's not like they're going to make you the name on the license. They're going to make you the name on the health card. They're going to make you the name on the SIM card. They're going to make you the name on the birth certificate. When that's not you. That's the name of the birth certificate. That's the name on the SIM card. That's the name on the license. That's the name on the passport. That's the name on the whatever. But that's not me. I'm the spiritual being manifested in the flesh. I'm not the instrument. I'm not the construct. I'm not the created thing with a name on it that they're trying to say that that's you. And then you're going with it like, yeah, that's me. Can I see your whatever? And then you give that. And then they're saying, oh, so you're saying that you're a card. All right. Then we'll swipe you. And then they send the guys to swipe you through the big machine or whatever like that. And you're trying to tell them, hey, yo, you can't do that. I'm a human being. Like, no, you're not. We got this paper right here that said you gave a license as identification. Yeah. All right. So what do you mean? Licenses got swiped. And then you have the Negro leaders start the marching and picketing and stuff like that because, you know, they can't do that to the black guys. They can't do that to the cards. Can't do that to the licenses. They're not supposed to get swiped. The black strip is just there for fashion. And you end up playing yourself. Because they offer and you accept it. That's called contract. And we already know you didn't reserve your rights on the contract. You don't even know what rights reserved are. Because remember, anyone who accepts the labels only has privileges. You don't get rights. Sorry. Rights don't apply to you. Because you don't want to hear what the Moors are saying. You want to play a fiction. And they're going to do everything. They're going to make up stuff to try to get you to not be on the side of the Moors. They're going to do everything. Right? This is how they're going to talk. This is how they're going to talk. There's some pale Puerto Rican foreigner, Costa Rican or Burra Rican or wherever the hell they claim that they come from. The fiction. Kuremeo. People are people. People are good and bad, no matter their complexion. People go from one place to another, sometimes invited, sometimes uninvited. Not everyone was honky-dory friendly with each other. There are different nations. Even Thomas Drew made a separate nation with Moors and Joshua the robber's people. And as you said, all ancient people were dark-skinned, even Joshua the robber's people. So obviously, there were different nations with different cultures and history. Why did the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Hittites invade and war with Joshua's people? Why were they on that? Moabites, Canaanites, Hittites, etc., as Thomas Drew said the ancient Moors were. Right? Remember in the track when he said, call him Thomas or Walter, get your chest caved and get drowned in the brain waves and all that. Get cut like close shaves and all that. When people start knowing what the history is of Noble Drew Ali and the Moors, knowing what it is, right? But putting out falsehoods. In order to deter the people's attention away from what this is really about. Right? So now remember, these are the 50,000 subscriber people and the 30,000 view video people. So the more comes up there now and that, well, who's Joshua and Thomas? And original people of the planet can't be colonists. So this is how you know these people not tied to the original people but want to claim connection to the original people. Because the fact of the matter is the original people are the Moors. And those are the copper-colored natives who were in all the lands before European interaction. There's no where are we indigenous from. We're indigenous to everywhere as Moors. Because you could go all around the world and there's a reference point for these people in every language. You're not going to find somebody over there's language talking about the Cherokees did something. They're going to say Moors. Because that's what they're going to reference them to. They're going to reference them to whatever tribe, Gullah Geechee and all this. That's only amongst them. In the world, they're not calling them Gullah Geechee in the world. They're going to call them Moors if you go anywhere else and ask somebody, hey, what are these people? Oh, we think those are the tribe of the, whatever's from the creek in no, ain't telling them that they're Negroes and all that stuff. Moors. Oh yeah, those are Moors. It's only the ones here that are playing. It's only the ones here that are playing. And it's easy. We're Moors. It's easy. It's not even hard. We're Moors. Everybody knows and everybody was down with it. Right? Women of the Ahmadiyya movement. From Miss Thomas to Sister K-Rat. From Miss Watts to Sister Zeneb. From Miss Robinson to Sister Ahmadiyya. From Mrs. Clark to Sister Aisha. What do you think they're doing? They're correcting their status. They don't want to be Negro. Do you look like some Negroes to you? You look like some Negroes, right? You told me there's some Negroes? Since any Negroes dressed like that? There ain't Negroes dressed like that. Wearing silks and all that. There's some different culture. Those people can't be Negroes. History of Islam in America. Science again. The purpose that served him, Noble Drew Ali, getting these ancient texts and all that stuff, was to lay out a series of holy instructions on varying aspects of life, including marriage, charity, character development, child rearing, treatment of parents, sincerity, social justice, and education. These chapters lay out the duties through which the Moorish men and women who had come to realize the divine nature within themselves were supposed to purport themselves in order to advance in American society. By appropriating the boilerplate of metaphysical religions as his own prophetic teachings, Ali sought to establish a national identity for African Americans' progress that centered on his authority. He begins the concluding 4 chapters, which, along with a short preface, are his only original contributions to the Circle 7 Quran, with the assertion that these teachings are civilizational teachings for Moorish Americans. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, the Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. Now, just like we're talking about with the names, Negro, Black, Colored versus Moor, right? Holy city of Mecca is Chicago. Holy Quran of Mecca is the Circle 7 Quran, because Moors are their own nation. We have our own capital. We have our own constitution and bylaws. We have our own president, if we want that. But we definitely have a prophet. And the key to civilization was and in the hands of the Asiatic nations, the Moorish, who were the lost found tribe of Shabazz in the Americas and all that. We were found. Drew Ali found us and gave us our nationality, our birthrights, and everything back that we needed in order for us to be a nation. Noble Drew Ali then goes on to assert his own authority over this Moorish nation. These holy and divine laws are from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that they would learn to open their meetings and guide them according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So this is not just some stuff written down. These are holy and divine laws. And that's from the founder of the uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because every Moorish Science Temple of America is its own state. And the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America are the citizens of that state. Nationals is a whole different thing. We're not even in the national realm yet. We're in to bring these people into the constitutional fold of government. And that's going to be done in sections. The first section is you're not Negro, black, colored, or whatever. Then you get to the next section. Next section is now you're a member of Moorish Science Temple of America. This is your state, your nationality card, your flag. You know what I mean? And see you at the next meeting. Through these holy and divine laws, you go to your meetings, you learn what it means to be a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You realize that there's a mufti wing, and an accounting wing, and a business league wing, and a women's auxiliary wing, and a children's wing. And there's all these different aspects that when you check every wing, each of them have their own interaction with out there, where there's members and there's meetings and they're doing what they're supposed to do as Moors. And then you have all these other ones working the same way. And that was us running our own state. And doing the exact same thing that the Vatican did. Give my Vatican's after us. Remember Celestine Prophecy? And the movie, they told you that the popes got the land grants from the Moors in order for them to say they're Vatican and have land and stuff like that. And that's supposedly supposed to be some European jurisdiction. But if they're going to the Moors to get land, then that means that even that place was Moorish lands. And if over there was Moorish lands, and over here was Moorish lands, the stuff's supposed to be over then, right? It is, of course, difficult to see how these teachings could be civilizational rather than civilizing if they are not attributed to a civilization. Islam, as a non-white ancient creed of a once powerful civilization, provided Ali with the connection to a civilization which his project demanded. To those who would challenge his teachings as the teachings of Islam, he retorted, Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed these secrets. And for the first time in ages have these secrets been delivered to the hands of the Muslims of America. And then he goes into the origin of the Asiatic nations and shows that all the people of the Americas at one time were Muslims. All of them. From North, South, Central, and the Atlantis Islands, all these people were Muslims at one time. There's no Indian culture and all that stuff. All that is Muslim culture. Why? Because everywhere they went, this is the same culture that these people had. People took Islam, became billionaires. The true Muslims of America aren't the people from over there, and the Muslims, the Salat and stuff, and came over. It's the Aboriginal indigenous people. Those are the true Muslims over here. Why there were mosques here in the 1400s when Europeans came here? Because there was Muslims here. There's no Indians here like that. Those little running in the bushes people are the same people that are on the planet right now, the running in the bush people. Who nobody's going to where they're at. And nobody's having any conversations with them or nothing like that. They're doing what they do and they're just there. They don't go anywhere else. They don't fend outside of their range. They go wherever it is that they're gonna go. Those aren't no first people. Those are late people. All Indian powwow people. They're late. They don't have anything to do with all these castles and all these buildings being here, cities underneath cities and all that. And you're talking about teepees? Those are the indigenous people? Some guys with feathers and that's it? Please. Those are the same people like the people who never left their block talking about the world is yours and all this. You ain't even left the corner. Get the hell up. You ain't been outside your own little place, your apartment. You think there's something outside that's going to kill you or whatever. You haven't been outside. Yeah. Ali's entrepreneurism was not limited to the realm of spiritual nationalism. Like Garvey and Deuce Muhammad Ali, he sought to promote self-sufficiency by developing businesses. Founded the Moorish Manufacturing Company, which sold bathing products, healing oils, and tonics. Published a newspaper, the Moorish Guide, which sold for 10 cents and served as the national mouthpiece of the organization. He also formed the Young Men's Moorish National Business League to promote entrepreneurial activities among his followers. The business efforts were relatively successful in Ali's time. That's what it was about. Taking your place amongst the affairs of men. Getting out of the wardship, getting out of the niggerness, and being your ancient foremothers and forefathers returned. And it can be done, but it's only going to be done under the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and by our people knowing who they are and having a nationality, like all the other civilized people on the planet who, because they have a nationality, you see that, whether it's good or bad, they're not concerned. They're not concerned. They will happily murder you and your dog and your cat and take all your stuff. right, on camera, and get off with pay. Because you chose not to hear what the Moors are saying. They told you Noble Drew Ali was a circus magician and all this. One of the Moorish elders said people miss Noble Drew Ali waiting for Jesus to come back. Missed him. And he brought them everything it takes to save a nation. And they didn't want that. They want what Jesus got. When he said to Moors, Marcus Garvey is my John the Baptist. What would that mean? He's Jesus, right? If Marcus Garvey is his John the Baptist, then that would mean that he's Jesus, right? Isn't that what that would mean? So if he's Jesus and he came for them, and then they didn't want what Jesus brought, but they were waiting for Jesus, you think you're not going to get judgment for that? That the great God of the universe sent Jesus back for you? Noble Drew Ali even said, January 8th is my birthday, that's going to be your Christmas. Doesn't that mean he's Jesus? If his birthday is the day that we're supposed to celebrate Christmas on as Moors, then wouldn't that mean that he's saying he's Jesus? So if all these people waiting for Jesus and Jesus came in the name of Noble Drew Ali to them, and they're playing, nah, that ain't him and all that stuff. Put him on the cross and all that. But now they walk around with necklace of him when they put him on the cross. And they're complaining about their conditions from this colonist who, again, these sellouts or whatever, gonna clickbait it in their videos talking about Morisco colonists. Moriscos are Moors. Right? Moriscos are Moors. And a Moor can't be a colonist. Because a colonist is a foreigner. And Moors aren't foreigners to anywhere. Moors rule the planet. Didn't you hear the European tell you the Moorish legacy is the solar system? We're indigenous to everywhere. We're indigenous to everywhere. And again, that's the concept of being in propria persona. Being in your proper person. Honoring your foremothers and forefathers by knowing who you are. Again, going back to Matrix, that's the theme. Know thyself. That was their lesson. When both of you know yourself, you will get back to your throne. Remember, she was a dumb nigger. Went back into the Matrix and all that. Had to snap herself out of the spell. That's the same concept as the Cell movie. Cell. Go through whole hour and a half to realize that it was a zombie dreaming. None of that happened. It was a zombie dreaming. Don't be a zombie dreaming. Wake up out the sleep. Noble Drawl even told me you sleep too much. Even told his boys they sleep too much. They're still sleeping. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Study, study, study. That's your only out. Know thyself. That's your only out. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love to all the Moors. Honors to all the mothers. Day 5 of Noble Draw League. Supreme honors. To the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam Moors.
Those of you who've been around me know that I've now begun to go back to myself. Go back to that which I believe will sustain me and that which will help to purify me, and have begun to push back and ignore that which I had fallen back down to. More and more I am being guided to study more. If you are not grounded properly, then you are not going to pick up the correct vibrations from the universe and the cosmos. More and more I am being guided to study more. Or if we are trying to lift our brother or sister up, the way we do it is just as important as what we say. How we approach them is just as important. Huh? More and more I am being guided to study more. I have found since my days with the Nation of Islam and no longer being in the mosque, that I now draw from all of our spiritual expressions. And that I now have come to, as many of you have heard me say many times, while I was supreme captain or national spokesman or whatever in the Nation of Islam, that if it were not for Africa, if it were not for the original black man and black woman, there would be no Islam, no Christianity, no Judaism. None of the world's major religions, as Dr. Yosef Ben Yaakov, Dr. John Henry Clark, and others have taught us, would be in existence if there were no original black man and woman and no Africa. Africa as it is called now. More and more I am being guided to study more. And I hope that the ancestors will guide me to touch on this Africa thing, to touch on Asiatic. Oh, they say, oh, you got to know what you're doing, boy. Because you know it's a whole lot of us in here. I understand, Moor. I'm a Moor. I understand that nationality is the order of the day. Yes, it is. That's right. I understand that. More and more I am being guided to study more. I can't say that I love you, that I care for you, that you are my sister, you are my brother, taking the prefix BR off and leaving other, that you are my other self. And I do not act morally and righteously toward you. I cannot do it. I make myself alive. More and more I am being guided to study more. Muslim. Are you a Muslim, Khalid? Yes, I am. But I'm a Moor. Islam. I'm a Moor. And got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And ain't gonna never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. And wouldn't come in your house or come among you and say I'm a Moor if I didn't feel in my heart, in my mind, in my soul that I am, I would tell you, God damn it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Ain't no more. So if I say it, I mean it. And if I mean it, generally, I say it. Are you a Muslim? Yes. But I know my roots. And I ain't Kunta Kinte.
Think about that. Think about your first words and when more study our Quran and questions for Moorish children. Prosecutors and magistrates hate us in the admin buildings. Challenge. Dirty Moors call me pastor with status more tools. They talk big on Facebook with their fingertip truths. No face, no name profiles on YouTube. Provocateur agents asking for payments, selling birthrights to those not patient, not willing to study, but ready and able to